The conference room on the 42nd floor overlooked Manhattan, like a throne surveying its kingdom. Kang Min-jun stood at the glass wall, hands clasped behind his back, his tailored black suit fitting him like armor. Below, the city pulsed with life, oblivious to the empire's built-in shadow, to the careful balance of power that kept chaos at bay. Behind him, 6 men sat around the obsidian table, waiting. They always waited for him. That was power. "The Marconi family grows bold," Han Seong-ho said quietly, breaking the silence. Min-jun's oldest friend knew when to speak and when to stay silent, a rare quality. Min-jun didn't turn. Let them. Desperation makes men predictable. His reflection in the glass showed nothing. No emotion, no weakness. The face that had commanded respect and fear for 15 years. The face that hid everything. His phone vibrated. A message from his mother. The matchmaker has 3 suitable candidates. All from good families. "You're 37, Min-jun, it's time." Time. As if he had any. His jaw tightened imperceptibly. No one in this room, no one in his entire organization knew the truth that ate at him daily. The secret that made every conversation about legacy, about heirs, about the future of the Kang family feel like a knife slowly twisting. He was sterile, had been for 8 years, and he was entirely, completely alone with that knowledge. "Sir," Seong-ho ventured, "the new surveillance on the Marconi operations—" "Continue it," Min-jun interrupted, his voice like cut glass, "and double the detail on their money routes. Victor Marconi wants war. We'll give him a masterclass in patience instead." He finally turned from the window, his dark eyes sweeping the room with the kind of authority that made grown men shift in their seats. Meeting adjourned. "Seong-ho, stay." The room emptied in seconds. When they were alone, Seong-ho stood, concern creasing his features. "You haven't been sleeping." "I sleep enough. Your mother called me yesterday. She's worried. The family is asking questions about—" "The family can wait." Min-jun's tone left no room for argument, but his friend had known him since they were teenagers, stealing bread in Busan before the empire, before the power, before everything. "How long can you keep running from this?" Seong-ho asked quietly. Min-jun's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes, something raw and quickly buried. "As long as I have to." What neither of them knew, what Min-jun couldn't possibly know, was that in less than 48 hours, everything would change. A woman with mahogany skin and fierce eyes would stumble into his carefully controlled world, and nothing would ever be the same again. Naya Baptiste was having the worst day of her life. And considering her life over the past year, that was saying something. She stood in the narrow hallway of her Brooklyn apartment building, staring at the eviction notice taped to her door. 30 days. She had 30 days to come up with 3 months' back rent, or she'd be on the street. Her hands trembled as she pulled the notice down, crumpling it in her fist. This wasn't supposed to happen. She'd done everything right. Worked 3 translation jobs, picked up freelance gigs, cut every expense down to nothing. But it still wasn't enough. It was never enough. Not since Marcus had destroyed her. Her ex-fiancé's face flashed through her mind, handsome, charming Marcus, who'd convinced her to invest in his guaranteed cryptocurrency venture. Marcus who'd drained her savings, maxed out her credit cards, and disappeared. Marcus who'd left her with nothing but debt and a shattered ability to trust. She should have known better. Her grandmother had always said, "Nia Sherry, you see the good in people too much. Sometimes the devil wears a beautiful face." Manman had been right. She always was. Nia's phone buzzed. "Maya, please tell me you're still coming tonight." Her best friend's voice was bright with excitement. "Isaiah has been asking about his Nina all day. Plus, this restaurant is amazing. My firm is celebrating the merger, and they're not cutting corners. Free food, Nia. Expensive free food." Despite everything, Nia smiled. Maya Torres had been her anchor since they'd met in a community college English class 8 years ago. Now Maya worked at a prestigious law firm while Nia translated technical documents at midnight and tried to keep her head above water. "I'm coming," Nia promised, shoving the eviction notice into her bag. "I need to see my favorite godson anyway." "He's your only godson, which makes him automatically the favorite." 3 hours later, Nia stood outside Moonlight Garden in Manhattan's Koreatown, feeling desperately out of place. The restaurant was the kind of establishment where the prices weren't listed on the menu, and the clientele arrived in cars that cost more than most people's houses. She smoothed down her simple black dress, the nicest thing she owned, and pushed through the doors. The interior was stunning. Soft lighting, Modern Korean aesthetics blended with luxury, private rooms separated by rice paper screens. Maya had texted her the room number, but as Nia made her way through the restaurant, she took a wrong turn. The hallway was quieter here, more exclusive. She checked her phone. No signal. Of course. "Excuse me," she said, approaching what she thought was a staff member near a closed door. "I'm looking for the Greenfield party?" The man turned. He wasn't staff. He wore an expensive suit and an expression that could freeze fire. Behind him, through the partially open door, Nia glimpsed what appeared to be a very serious meeting. Multiple men in suits, the atmosphere heavy with tension. "Wrong floor," the man said curtly. "Leave." Something in his tone sparked Nia's pride. That Baptiste stubbornness her grandmother had always said would get her in trouble. "I just need directions." She said leave. Another voice, colder, carrying absolute authority. Nia's eyes moved past the guard to the man who'd spoken. He sat at the head of a table, and even seated, his presence dominated the room. Korean, late 30s, with features that would be beautiful if they weren't so severe. His dark eyes fixed on her with the kind of intensity that made her breath catch. This wasn't a business meeting. This was something else entirely. "I'm sorry," Nia said, her instincts screaming at her to retreat. "I'm lost." The lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in immediately, bathing everything in dim red. Shouts erupted from somewhere in the restaurant, breaking glass, a woman screaming. "Everyone down!" the guard shouted, pulling a gun from his jacket. Nia's heart slammed against her ribs. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be. An explosion rocked the building, not close, but close enough. The floor shook. Nia stumbled, her ankle twisting in her heels. She fell hard, pain shooting through her leg. Then someone was there. Strong hands pulled her up, dragged her into the private room. "Keep her quiet," that authoritative voice commanded. "Seung-ho, status." "Marconi's men," another voice replied tersely. "Ground floor. They're not coming up. This is a distraction." Nia's back pressed against the wall as chaos unfolded around her. The man who'd pulled her inside, the one with the cold, beautiful face, spoke rapidly in Korean into his phone. His men moved with military precision, weapons drawn, securing the room. She should be terrified. She was terrified. But she couldn't stop watching him. The way he commanded the space, how everyone responded to him instantly, the absolute control in his voice, even as violence erupted floors below. "Maya," Nia whispered, fumbling for her phone. "Oh God, Maya and Isaiah are downstairs." Her phone was gone. She dropped it when she fell. "My friend," she said louder, addressing no one and everyone. "My friend and her son are in the restaurant. I need to—" A hand clamped over her mouth. Not hard, but firm. Nia's eyes widened as the dangerous man crouched in front of her, his face inches from hers. "Be silent." Each word was enunciated with deadly precision. "Do you understand?" She nodded. He removed his hand but stayed close, studying her face in the dim emergency lighting. "Who are you?" he asked. Nia. Nia Baptiste. I'm nobody. I'm here for a party. My friend works for Greenfield Associates. They're celebrating downstairs and—" "She's telling the truth," another man said, showing him a phone screen. "Greenfield has the main dining room tonight. She's on the guest list. Nia Baptiste, translator, plus one of Maya Torres." The dangerous man's eyes never left hers. A translator. It wasn't a question, but Nia nodded anyway. "Technical translation. Documents. I'm not involved in whatever this is." "No," he agreed softly. "You're not. Which makes you very lucky or very unlucky. We'll see which." Sirens wailed outside. Police, fire department, ambulances. "Sir, we need to move," Seung-ho said urgently. "NYPD will secure the building. If we're found here—" "I know." He stood in one fluid motion, then offered Nia his hand. "Can you walk?" She stared at his hand. Elegant fingers, perfectly manicured nails, a platinum watch that probably cost more than her entire year's rent. A hand that wielded power she couldn't begin to understand. "My ankle," she admitted. "I twisted it when I fell." Without warning, he bent and lifted her. One arm under her knees, one around her back, carrying her like she weighed nothing. "Wait," Nia protested. "I need to find Maya and Isaiah. Your friend is safe," he said, already moving toward a back exit she hadn't noticed. The attack was targeted. Main dining room was never in danger. "How do you know?" His eyes met hers briefly. "Because I know who ordered it, and I know exactly what they wanted." They moved through a service corridor, his men flanking them. Nia's mind raced. This was insane. She was being carried through a back exit by a man who clearly wasn't just a businessman, surrounded by armed guards after what sounded like a mob attack. She should demand to be put down. She should scream for the police who were flooding the building. She should do literally anything, except let this happen. But she didn't. Because despite every rational thought, despite every warning her instincts were screaming, one thing was absolutely clear. This man had just saved her life. They emerged into an underground parking garage. A black SUV waited, engine running. The man carrying her slid her into the back seat with surprising gentleness, then climbed in beside her. "Take us to the penthouse," he commanded the driver. "Lose any tails. Medical team standing by." As the vehicle pulled out, Nia finally found her voice. "Who are you?" He didn't look at her. "Someone you should have never met." The SUV accelerated into the night, carrying Nia Baptiste away from her life and into a world where power was currency, danger was constant, and nothing would ever be the same. Behind them, Moonlight Garden burned. The penthouse was like something from a movie Nia couldn't afford to watch. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Manhattan, from what had to be 50 stories up, the city sprawling beneath them like scattered diamonds. Everything was clean lines and expensive materials, marble, dark wood, leather that probably cost more than her destroyed credit score. A woman appeared almost immediately, mid-40s, Korean, with sharp eyes and an efficient demeanor. She carried a medical kit and gestured for Nia to sit on the white leather sofa. "Doctor, June will examine your ankle," the dangerous man said, finally introducing the woman. "She's discreet." "I don't need a doctor," Nia protested. "I need to call Maya. I need to go home. You need to let me examine you." Dr. Yoon's English was perfect, her tone leaving no room for argument. "Sit." Nia sat. The man who'd brought her here stood by the windows, phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapid Korean. His body language was tense, controlled fury evident in every line of his frame. He'd removed his jacket, and she could see the perfect tailoring of his vest, the way his shirt pulled across broad shoulders. "It's not broken," Dr. Yoon announced, wrapping Nia's ankle with expert efficiency. "Moderate sprain. Stay off it for a few days. Ice, elevation, compression." "A few days?" Nia's voice rose. "I have to work. I have 3 deadlines and—" "You're not going anywhere tonight." This from the man at the window who'd finished his call and now watched her with those unsettling dark eyes. "It's not safe." "Not safe for who? I'm not involved in whatever that was. I'm a translator. I live in a walk-up in Bed-Stuy. I don't have enemies who blow up restaurants." "You do now." He moved closer and Nia fought the urge to shrink back. "Victor Marconi's men saw you with me. That makes you either a witness or an associate. Either way, you're a target until I determine otherwise." The words hit like ice water. "I'm a what?" Dr. Yoon packed up her kit, spoke briefly in Korean to the man, and left without another glance at Nia. When they were alone, the silence stretched taut. Nia's mind raced through everything. The explosion, the guns, the way everyone had moved with military precision, the underground parking garage, the casual mention of someone named Marconi who apparently targeted people. "So you're a criminal," she said flatly. It wasn't a question, his expression didn't change. "I'm a businessman. Businessmen don't have armed guards and escape through underground garages. Smart ones do." He moved to a bar cart, poured 2 glasses of whiskey that probably cost more than her monthly rent. He offered her one, she didn't take it. "I want to go home. Home to an eviction notice and a neighborhood where Marconi's men can find you easily." He set both glasses down. "I had my people check you out while we drove. Nia Baptiste, 26, freelance translator. Specializes in technical documents, legal translation, and medical terminology. Fluent in English, French, Haitian Creole, and Korean. Financially ruined by Marcus Chen 18 months ago. Currently 3 months behind on rent." Heat flooded Nia's face, shame and anger mixing into something toxic. "You had no right—" "I have every right to know who witnessed my men carrying weapons, who heard my name, who can place me at the scene of a Marconi operation." He picked up 1 glass, sipped. "Consider yourself lucky I'm thorough instead of impulsive." The implied threat hung in the air. Nia's heart pounded, but she forced herself to meet his eyes. "What's your name?" "Kang Min-jun." The name meant nothing to her, but clearly it should. The way he said it carried weight, expectation of recognition. "Should I know who you are?" Something flickered in his expression. Surprise, maybe, or amusement. "Most people do. I don't run in criminal circles. Neither do I. Officially." He set down the glass. "I run legitimate businesses. Import-export, real estate, technology investments. And, unofficially," his smile was cold. "Officially, There is no unofficially. Nia's phone buzzed. Someone had retrieved it and left it on the coffee table. She grabbed it, saw 14 missed calls from Maya, and immediately called back. "Oh, thank God!" Maya's voice was frantic. "Nia, where are you? The police are asking questions, and I told them you went to the bathroom before everything happened. But they want to interview everyone, and I'm okay." Nia interrupted, acutely aware of Min-jun watching her. I twisted my ankle. "Someone helped me out during the chaos. I'm safe. Where are you? I'll come get you." Nia looked at Min-jun. He shook his head once, a clear command. "I'm at a friend's place. I'll come by tomorrow to see you and Isaiah, okay? I promise I'm fine." After more reassurances, she ended the call. "She's my best friend. She has a 7-year-old son. If anything happens to them because of tonight, nothing will happen to them. They saw nothing. They know nothing. They're irrelevant." He said it with complete certainty. "You, however, are a complication. So let me go. I'll forget everything. You speak Korean." He switched languages mid-sentence, his voice suddenly softer. "Fluently, which means you understood every word my men said tonight, including plans, names, and operations that cannot become public." Nia's stomach dropped. She had understood everything. "I won't tell anyone," she said, also in Korean, her accent carrying the slightly formal tone of someone who'd learned from dramas and textbooks rather than native speakers. "I have no reason to. I just want my life back. Do you?" He tilted his head, studying her. "The life where you're being evicted? Where you work yourself to exhaustion for barely enough to survive? Where you trust the wrong people and lose everything?" The words hit too close. "That's my life, my choice. What if I offered you an alternative? I don't want your money. I'm not offering money." He moved to the windows, hands in his pockets. "I'm offering a solution to both our problems. We don't have problems together. We don't have anything together." He turned, and something in his expression made her breath catch. Intensity, purpose, the look of a man who'd made a decision and would not be swayed. "You need money, security, and a place to stay where Marcus Chen's creditors can't find you. Yes, I know about them, too. They've been calling weekly." Nia's face burned. The debt collectors had become relentless lately. "And what do you need?" she asked warily. "A translator. Someone who speaks Korean fluently, who understands technical and legal terminology, who can be trusted with sensitive information." He paused. "Someone who is completely unknown to my enemies and allies alike. Someone invisible. I'm not invisible. To my world you are. You're perfect precisely because you don't belong." Nia shook her head. "No. Whatever you're offering, the answer is no. 3 months back, rent paid. First and last on a new apartment in a better neighborhood. Your debt's cleared." She froze. "What?" "That's what I'm offering. In exchange, you work for me. Translation services, 3 months minimum. You'll be compensated well. Enough to rebuild your savings, restart your life properly. It was too much, too good." "Why would you do that?" His expression shuttered. "Because I need someone I can control. Someone who has enough to lose that they won't betray me, but not so much that they become ambitious. You're drowning, Naya Baptiste. I'm offering you a lifeline. Whether you take it is your choice." The rational part of Nia's brain screamed refusal. This man was dangerous. This situation was insane. She should run, call the police, disappear. But the desperate part, the part that was so tired of drowning, of struggling, of losing, whispered different words. "What if?" "I need time to think," she said finally. "You have until morning. There's a guest room down the hall. Dr. Yoon left pain medication and supplies for your ankle." He moved toward the door, then paused. "One more thing. The reason tonight happened, the reason Marconi attacked my restaurant, is because I've been disrupting his operations. He wanted to send a message." "What message?" Min-jun's smile was sharp enough to cut. "That he's desperate, which means I'm winning." He left her alone in a penthouse prison made of silk and steel, overlooking a city that suddenly felt much more dangerous than it had that morning. Nia pulled out her phone, staring at the eviction notice she'd photographed earlier. 30 days. 3 months of work for Kang Min-jun, a devil's bargain or salvation. By dawn, she would have to choose. Nia didn't sleep. She lay in the guest room, which was larger and more luxurious than her entire apartment, staring at the ceiling and trying to make sense of the impossible situation she'd stumbled into. Every instinct screamed to refuse. She'd learned the hard way what happened when you trusted the wrong person. Marcus had taught her that lesson in the cruelest way possible. But this was different. Min-jun wasn't pretending to love her. He wasn't wearing a mask of charm. He was dangerous, yes, but he was honestly dangerous. There was something almost refreshing about that clarity. Around 5 a.m., she gave up on sleep and limped to the guest bathroom. Marble everywhere, heated floors, a shower that probably had more technology than her laptop. She showered carefully, keeping weight off her ankle, then dressed in her clothes from last night. When she emerged, she found Min-jun in the kitchen. He wore different clothes, black pants, a crisp white shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows, revealing surprisingly defined forearms. His hair was slightly damp, and he was making coffee with the focused attention he probably gave to everything. "You're awake early?" he observed without turning. "I didn't sleep." "Neither did I." He poured 2 cups, slid one across the marble counter toward her. "Cream? Sugar?" "Black is fine." They drank in silence. The coffee was perfect, rich and smooth, probably beans that cost more than her weekly food budget. "I have conditions," Nia said finally. "If I agree." Min-jun's expression didn't change, but she sensed his attention sharpen. "I'm listening. First, nothing illegal. I'll translate your documents, sit in on meetings if needed, but I won't participate in anything that could get me arrested." "Agreed. Most of my business is legitimate. The parts that aren't, you won't touch directly. Second, Maya and Isaiah are off limits. Whatever happens, whatever I see or hear, they stay completely out of it. Already guaranteed. I don't involve civilians, especially children." Nia studied him. "You say that like you have rules." "I have many rules, Miss Baptiste. They're why I'm still alive and powerful at 37, while most men in my position are dead or imprisoned by 30. Third condition. 3 months, like you said. After that, we're done. You clear my debts, help me relocate if needed, and we never see each other again." Something flashed in his eyes, too quick to identify. "Agreed. And fourth," she hesitated, "I need to know what happened to you." His entire body went still. "Excuse me? Last night you mentioned Marconi sent a message, but there's something else. Something personal driving this conflict." She set down her cup. "If I'm going to work for you, if I'm going to be in danger because of association with you, I need to understand why. I need to know who you really are." The silence stretched so long she thought he wouldn't answer. When he finally spoke, his voice was carefully controlled. "Victor Marconi and I used to be allies. 5 years ago our families worked together on several operations, but Victor wanted to expand into territories that would have attracted too much federal attention. I refused. He saw it as weakness and tried to force my hand by—" He paused. "By attacking people I cared about." "What happened?" "My younger sister was caught in the crossfire of one of his operations. She survived, but barely. I retaliated, and we've been at war ever since. Low-level, contained, but constant." Nia's chest tightened. "Your sister, is she okay now?" "She lives in Seoul with her husband and daughter, far from this life. Safe." The way he said it suggested safety was the only thing that mattered. "She doesn't know I still deal with Marconi. She thinks the war ended years ago. So you've been protecting her by pretending to make peace while actually destroying his operations piece by piece, so slowly he doesn't realize he's dying until it's too late." Min-jun's smile was cold. "Patience is more effective than violence, Miss Baptiste. Marconi will fall. It's inevitable. He just doesn't know it yet." The calculated nature of it should have frightened her. Instead, Nia found herself thinking of her grandmother, how Manman had protected their family through quiet strength and strategic planning rather than confrontation. "I'll do it," she heard herself say. "I'll work for you. 3 months." Min-jun's eyes met hers. "You're certain?" "No, but I'm desperate, and you're offering something I can't refuse. Just—" She took a breath. "Just don't make me regret this more than I already regret, Marcus. I'm nothing like Marcus Chen. I know, you're much more dangerous." His laugh was unexpected, genuine and brief. Honest. "I appreciate that." Within an hour, everything changed with frightening efficiency. Min-jun made 3 phone calls, and suddenly Nia's debts were being handled, her back rent resolved, and a moving company was scheduled to pack her apartment and relocate her belongings to a new place in a better neighborhood. "This is too much," she protested as he showed her listings for apartments. "This is necessary. You can't work for me and live in a walk-up with broken locks and no security." He pointed to a building in Manhattan. "This one, 2-bedroom, doorman, security cameras. The 2nd bedroom can be your office. I can't afford—" "I'm paying. It's part of your compensation package. Consider it a company apartment." "I thought you said I wasn't getting money." "You're not. You're getting security, which is more valuable." He pulled up a contract on his tablet. "Standard employment agreement. 3 months, renewable if both parties agree. Salary is here," he pointed, "and it's non-negotiable because it's already generous." Nia stared at the number. It was more than she'd made in the past 6 months combined. This can't be legal. It's completely legal. You're a translator for my import-on-export company. Everything is documented, taxed appropriately, and above board. What I need you to translate occasionally happens to be sensitive. She signed the contract before she could change her mind. Over the next week, Nia's life transformed. She moved into the new apartment, clean, safe, with locks that actually worked, and neighbors who didn't scream through the walls at 3 a.m. Her debts disappeared like they'd never existed. She even got a new phone and laptop, both provided by Min Jun's company. Encrypted, Han Seung-ho explained when he delivered them. Min Jun's right-hand man had thawed slightly, though he still watched her with careful suspicion. Any work communications go through these devices only. Your personal phone is separate. The actual work started simply. Technical documents about shipping manifests, import regulations, trade agreements. Nia translated from Korean to English, and occasionally French, her fingers flying across the keyboard in the new home office. But gradually, the documents became more revealing. Coded language about shipments that were clearly not legitimate. References to territorial agreements and dispute resolutions that had nothing to do with legal business practices. She never commented. That wasn't her job. Isaiah visited the new apartment with Maya, his 7-year-old eyes wide with wonder. "Nina, you live in a castle," he exclaimed, running to the windows. Maya pulled Nia aside, concern etched on her face. "This job you mentioned, the one that's paying for all this. Nia, what exactly are you doing?" "Translation work. For an import company. This is a lot of money for translation work. It's a big company, they value language skills." The lie came easier than it should have. Maya didn't look convinced, but she didn't push. "Just be careful, okay? After Marcus, I worry. I'm being careful, I promise." That night, working late on a particularly complex document about territorial disputes in Koreatown, Nia's phone rang. "Min Jun. There's a meeting tomorrow night. I need you there to translate." "What kind of meeting?" "The kind where accuracy matters more than comfort. Wear something professional, black. Seung-ho will pick you up at 7. He hung up before she could ask more questions. Nia stared at her reflection in the dark window. Somewhere over the past week she'd crossed a line. She was no longer just translating documents. She was becoming part of Kang Min-jun's world, and she had no idea if she'd survive it. The meeting was in a private room at an upscale restaurant in Koreatown, not Moonlight Garden, which was still under renovation, but somewhere equally exclusive. Nia arrived in a simple black dress and modest heels, her natural hair pulled back in a professional bun. Min Jun was already there, along with Seung-ho and 3 other men she didn't recognize. They all went quiet when she entered. "This is Miss Baptiste," Min Jun said in Korean. "She'll be translating tonight." "She's under my protection." "Understood." The men nodded, though their expressions remained wary. The meeting was with a potential new business partner, an older Korean man named Mr. Lim, who spoke no English. For 2 hours, Nia translated negotiations about shipping routes, warehouse locations, and profit-sharing agreements. On the surface, everything sounded legitimate, but the subtext was clear. They were discussing how to move goods that customs would never approve. She kept her voice neutral, her translations precise, her expression carefully blank. When Mr. Lim finally left, seemingly satisfied, Min Jun dismissed everyone except Seung-ho and Nia. "You did well," Min Jun said, pouring himself a drink. "You didn't react, didn't judge, didn't hesitate even when the implications were obvious. That's what you're paying me for." "Yes, but most people can't maintain that neutrality. They either get self-righteous or too comfortable with it. You found the balance." "I'm not comfortable with any of this," Nia admitted. "But I made a deal, I keep my word." Seung-ho's phone rang. He answered, listened, and his expression darkened. "Sir, we have a problem." Min Jun's entire demeanor changed instantly, from relaxed to alert in a heartbeat. "What kind of problem?" "Marconi's men were seen near Miss Baptiste's old apartment building. They've been asking questions about her." Ice flooded Nia's veins. "What? Why would they?" "Because you were seen with me that night." Min Jun's voice was hard. "And because Marconi is smart enough to realize that anyone I protect is someone he can use against me." "I'm nobody. I'm not important to you." "You work for me. That makes you important." He stood. "Seung-ho, increase security on Miss Baptiste. 24-hour detail. I want to know everyone who comes within 50 feet of her." "Sir, with all due respect, this level of protection for a translator will raise questions." "I don't care, do it." After Seung-ho left, Nia found herself alone with Minjun in the private room. The silence was heavy with unspoken things. "This wasn't supposed to happen," she said quietly. "I was just supposed to translate documents and stay invisible." "Nothing about you is invisible, Miss Baptiste." He said it like a fact, not a compliment. "You need to let me go. Tell Marconi I'm nobody, that I saw nothing, that I'm not worth his attention. If I do that, he'll know you're valuable. The moment I deny something, I confirm it. That's how this world works." Nia's hands shook. She clasped them together, fighting for control. "I can't do this. I can't live looking over my shoulder, wondering if someone's going to hurt me to get to you. That's not... I didn't sign up for this. You signed up for 3 months working for me. The contract didn't specify safety. That's not funny. It wasn't meant to be." He moved closer and Nia's breath caught. Up close she could see the faint scar on his eyebrow, the exact shade of darkness in his eyes, the sharp line of his jaw. "I don't let people I'm responsible for get hurt, Miss Baptiste. You're under my protection. That means something. What does it mean that I'm property? An asset to protect like your shipping manifests and warehouse locations?" Something flashed in his expression. Hurt, maybe, or anger. "Is that what you think? That I see you as property?" "I don't know what I think. I don't know anything about you except that you're dangerous and powerful and you've dragged me into a war I don't understand." "Then let me make something clear." His voice dropped lower, more intense. "I don't bring people into my world carelessly. I don't offer protection lightly, and I don't feel responsible for anyone unless they matter. I'm nobody. I'm just a translator you hired. You stopped being just a translator the moment you refused to take my money without asking questions, the moment you negotiated conditions instead of accepting blindly, the moment you looked at me like I was a person instead of a monster." He paused. "No one looks at me like that, Miss Baptiste. No one." The air between them felt charged, dangerous. Nia should step back. She should maintain professional distance. She should remember that this man was a criminal, that this situation was temporary, that getting emotionally involved was the stupidest thing she could possibly do. Instead, she heard herself ask, "What happened to you?" "I told you. Marconi attacked my—" "No. Before that. What happened to make you this person? This controlled, this isolated, this alone?" Minjun's expression shuttered. "That's not relevant. It is to me. You know everything about me. My debts, my past, my failures. You've investigated every corner of my life, but I don't know anything real about you. You know I'm dangerous. Isn't that enough?" "No." Nia stepped closer, ignoring the voice screaming that this was reckless. "I want to know why you never smile, why you drink expensive whiskey alone at 2 a.m., why you carry yourself like you're Atlas with the weight of the world, and if you show one crack, everything will collapse." His jaw tightened. "You're overstepping. You're right, I am. But you asked for honesty, Mr. Kang, so here it is. I can't work for someone I don't understand. I can't be protected by someone who's a complete mystery. And I can't keep pretending this is just a job when clearly it's become something else entirely." The silence stretched. Nia thought he might order her out, fire her, or worse. Instead, he moved to the window, staring out at the city lights. When he spoke, his voice was so quiet, she almost didn't hear. 8 years ago, I was shot during a raid on one of our warehouses. Rival organization. The bullet did extensive damage before they got me to a hospital." He paused. "The doctors saved my life, but there were complications." Nia waited, sensing they were approaching something important. "I'm sterile, Miss Baptiste." The words came out flat, factual, completely, irreversibly, a consequence of the injury and subsequent infections. Her breath caught. "Minjun, in my world legacy is everything. Family bloodlines, heirs to take over operations, continuation of the name. My mother has 3 suitable matches lined up. My organization expects me to produce sons who will inherit what I've built. Everyone assumes I'm just being selective, taking my time. But you can't," Nia finished softly. "No one knows. Not Shung Ho, not my family, not anyone in my organization. Because the moment they know, I become weak, incomplete. A leader with no future." His reflection in the window showed carefully controlled pain. "I'm 37 years old, and I'm the end of the Kang family line. Everything I've built will die with me." Nia's heart ached in a way that caught her off guard. She'd expected many things from Kang Minjun. Violence, ruthlessness, cold calculation. Not this profound loneliness. Not this buried grief. "That's why you're so controlled," she said. "Every emotion, every reaction, every relationship, they're all calculated because you can't afford vulnerability. Vulnerability gets you killed in my world. No, vulnerability makes you human." She moved to stand beside him at the window. You think this secret makes you weak, but carrying it alone, maintaining this perfect facade while dying inside, that takes more strength than anything I've ever seen. He turned to look at her, and for the first time since they'd met, his expression was completely unguarded. Raw. Real. Why are you being kind to me? He asked. After everything, the danger, the deception, the way I've disrupted your life. Why? Nia reached out, her hand hovering near his for a moment before she let it fall. Because I know what it's like to carry shame that isn't your fault, to be defined by something you can't change, to feel broken while pretending you're fine. You're not broken, Miss Baptiste. Neither are you, Mr. Kang. The moment stretched between them, fragile, honest, terrifying in its intimacy. Then Min Jun's phone shattered the silence. He answered, listened, and his expression went cold. Marconi just made his move, he said, and he's targeting someone you care about. Nia's blood turned to ice. Who? Your godson. Isaiah. The world stopped. Nia's vision tunneled. What did you say? Minjun was already moving, phone pressed to his ear, issuing rapid commands in Korean. Seung-ho, location now. How many men does he have? Are the mother and child still in the apartment? Isaiah, Nia whispered, then louder, grabbing Minjun's arm. What's happening to Isaiah? He covered the phone. Marconi's men are outside your friend's building. They haven't made contact yet, but they're watching. He knows she's your weak point. Terror unlike anything Nia had ever felt crashed over her. We have to get them out now, right now, Minjun. I'm handling it. He returned to his call. Pull our people from the Brooklyn detail. I want everyone on Miss Torres's building. No one gets close to that apartment. Yes, I'm aware of the risk. Do it anyway. Nia's hands shook as she grabbed her phone, calling Maya. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Nia. Hey girl, I was just about to... Maya, listen to me very carefully. Nia forced her voice to stay calm even as panic clawed at her throat. I need you to pack a bag for you and Isaiah. Essential items only. Someone is coming to pick you up and take you somewhere safe. What? Nia, what are you talking about? Remember how I said my new job was just translation? I lied. It's complicated and there are people who might try to hurt you to get to me. But I'm fixing it. I promise I'm fixing it. But you need to trust me right now. Maya's voice sharpened with fear. Is Isaiah in danger? Not if you do exactly what I say. Pack a bag, don't leave the apartment. Men are coming, Korean men in suits. They work for my employer. They'll take you somewhere safe until this is resolved. Nia, please, Maya. Please, just trust me. There was a long pause. Then, Isaiah, baby, we're going on an adventure. Pack your backpack with your favorite toys. Nia's eyes burned with tears she refused to let fall. Minjun ended his call. My men are in position. They'll extract your friend and her son within 20 minutes. Marconi's people won't have time to act. Where are you taking them? A safe house in Jersey. Secure location. No connection to any of my known properties. They'll have guards, supplies, everything they need. For how long? His expression was grim. Until I end this. Permanently. Nia's stomach clenched. What does that mean? It means I'm done playing patience with Victor Marconi. He brought civilians into this. He threatened a child. That breaks every code, every rule we operate under. Minjun's voice was cold fury barely contained. I'm going to destroy him. Tonight. How? You don't need to know the details. Yes, I do. Nia stepped in front of him, forcing him to look at her. You told me your secret. You made yourself vulnerable to me. Now I'm asking, what are you planning? He studied her face for a long moment. I have evidence of Marconi's operations. Financial records, trafficking routes, connections to dirty politicians and cops. Enough to put him away for 3 lifetimes. I've been saving it, waiting for the right moment. Why wait? Why not use it immediately? Because once I release it, I can't take it back. The federal investigation will be massive. It'll disrupt the entire underworld, draw attention to everyone, including me. My legitimate businesses will be scrutinized. I might lose everything I've built just to take him down. Nia's breath caught. But you're going to do it anyway. Because he threatened Isaiah. Because he crossed a line that can't be uncrossed. Minjun's eyes were dark with barely restrained violence. Children are off limits. Always. That's the rule that separates us from monsters. You're willing to sacrifice your empire to protect a 7-year-old boy you've never met. I'm willing to sacrifice my empire to protect someone you love. He said it simply, like it was obvious. Because you matter, Nia. More than you should. More than is safe or smart. But there it is. The words hit her like a physical force. Minjun, I know. It's reckless, it's dangerous, it violates every principle I've operated under for 15 years, but I don't care. He reached out, his hand cupping her face with surprising gentleness. You make me not care, and I don't know if that's the best thing or the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Nia's heart pounded so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. This can't happen, we can't. Whatever this is, it's impossible. I'm aware. You're a criminal. I'm barely surviving. We're from completely different worlds. I know. And in 3 months I'm supposed to walk away and never see you again. That was the agreement. So why are you looking at me like that? Her voice broke. Why are you making me feel things I have no right to feel? Minjun's thumb traced her cheekbone. Because for 8 years, I've been half a person. Incomplete. Broken in a way I could never fix or admit. And then you stumbled into my life and looked at me like I wasn't broken at all, like I was just me. You are just you. The sterility doesn't define you. In my world it does. Then maybe your world is wrong. Nia placed her hand over his, where it rested against her face. Maybe legacy isn't about blood. Maybe it's about what you build, who you protect, the lives you change. You've already created more than most people ever will. His eyes searched hers. You really believe that? I do, because my grandmother taught me that family isn't just biology. It's choice, love, loyalty. She raised me after my parents died, and she wasn't related by blood at all. She was my father's godmother, but she was more my family than anyone. Manman, Minjun said softly, remembering the name from her file. She would have liked you, I think. She always said the most dangerous people are the ones fighting invisible battles, while everyone else only sees their strength. Before either of them could say more, Minjun's phone rang. Seung-ho. They're secure, Seung-ho reported. Mother and child extracted without incident. Marconi's men never got close. They're en route to the safe house now. Relief flooded through Nia so intensely her knees weakened. Minjun steadied her, his arm around her waist. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for saving them. I told you, I don't let people I'm responsible for get hurt. I'm not your responsibility. Yes, you are. He said it with absolute certainty. You have been since the moment I carried you out of Moonlight Garden. I just didn't admit it until tonight. Nia looked up at him, this dangerous, powerful, secretly broken man who'd just risked everything to protect a child he'd never met. This man who'd confessed his deepest secret to her, who looked at her like she was something precious in a world of violence and shadows. She should walk away. She should stick to the 3-month agreement and protect her heart from inevitable devastation. Instead, she rose on her toes and kissed him. It was soft, tentative, terrifying in its honesty. Minjun froze for a heartbeat. Then his arms wrapped around her, pulling her close as he kissed her back with an intensity that stole her breath. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Minjun rested his forehead against hers. This changes everything, he said. I know. You'll be a target, a real one. Marconi will use you against me. I know. Your 3 months might become 3 years, or forever. I can't predict what comes next. I know. Nia pulled back to look him in the eyes. But here's what I know for certain. I'm tired of running from things that scare me. I'm tired of playing it safe and still losing everything. And I'm tired of pretending I don't feel something for you that defies all logic. What do you feel? She took a breath. That maybe broken pieces can fit together. That maybe 2 people from impossible worlds can create something new. That maybe, she smiled slightly, maybe sterile doesn't mean unable to build a family, just that you build it differently. His eyes widened. Nia, I'm not saying I have answers. I'm not saying this will work, but I'm saying I want to try. If you do. Minjun kissed her again, deeper this time, with a desperation that spoke of 8 years of loneliness finally cracking open. I want to try, he whispered against her lips. God help us both, but I want to try. Outside, the city continued its endless rhythm, unaware that 2 people had just made the choice that would define everything. Inside, Kang Min-jun, powerful crime lord, successful businessman, secretly sterile man who'd carried shame alone for 8 years, held Nia Baptiste close and let himself believe in possibilities he'd thought were forever lost. The war with Marconi was far from over. The danger was real and immediate. Their worlds were still impossibly different, but for the first time in longer than either could remember, they weren't facing the future alone. And sometimes that's where love begins. The apartment overlooked Central Park, morning sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. Nia stood in the kitchen making coffee, their kitchen now in their apartment, because sometime in the past 6 months, yours and mine had become ours. Minjun emerged from the bedroom, hair still damp from the shower, wearing casual clothes that she taught him were acceptable for weekend mornings at home. He wrapped his arms around her waist from behind, pressing a kiss to her shoulder. "Isaiah called," she said, leaning back against him. "He wants to know if we're still coming to his piano recital on Friday." "Of course we are. I wouldn't miss it." Maya and Isaiah had moved into a new apartment. Safer neighborhood, better schools, all quietly arranged by Min-jun through shell companies that couldn't be traced. Maya had stopped asking questions after the first month, simply accepting that her best friend's employer took care of his people extraordinarily well. The truth about Min-jun's world remained mostly hidden. Maya didn't need to know. Isaiah definitely didn't need to know. They just needed to be safe, which they were. Marconi was in federal prison, his empire dismantled. The investigation had touched Min-jun's operations briefly, but his legitimate businesses were so thoroughly documented and clean that nothing stuck. Seung-ho had called it a miracle. Min-jun had called it 15 years of careful planning. "I have something for you," Min-jun said, pulling a small box from his pocket. Nia's heart jumped. "Min-jun, open it." Inside was a delicate gold necklace with a pendant, a tiny paper crane intricately detailed. "In Korean culture, paper cranes represent hope," he explained quietly. "The hope that something beautiful can be created from simple materials. That transformation is possible." His hands were gentle as he fastened it around her neck. "You transformed me, Nia Baptiste. Made me believe that broken isn't the same as finished." She turned in his arms, tears in her eyes. "You transformed me too. Made me believe trust was possible after betrayal. That home isn't a place, it's a person." "Stay with me," he whispered. "Not for 3 months. Not for 3 years. Stay with me for as long as we both breathe." "Yes," she answered simply. "Yes." Outside, the city woke to another ordinary day. Inside, 2 people who'd found each other in chaos held on tight and built something extraordinary from the broken pieces. They built love. They built trust. They built family. Not through blood, but through choice. And that, in the end, was everything.